Well, Vidya, thank you so much for helping me in my project.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you are, where you live, that type of thing?
Um, my name is Vidya. I live in Austin. I am an attorney. I'm becoming a mediator, and kind of doing a lot of different things in the meantime. Yeah.
That's all awesome. So, mediators, whenever two parties are having a dispute with each other, they can call you and say, "Would you help us kind of figure out some type of mutually conductive
Yeah.
solution?"
Yeah. Yeah. And generally, it's not like I'm deciding anything for them. I'm just trying to help them come to some sort of an agreement that they're okay with. Um, doesn't always work, but
And
it's usually worth giving a shot.
how much uh, how much work do you have to put in terms of coming up with ground rules in terms of how the parties will interact with each other and kind of what issues will be brought forward and how that'll be talked about?
Well, it depends. I mean, every case is a little bit different. I think I've done a few with the Dispute Resolution Center, that the Brazos Valley Dispute Resolution Center, and I think in those you don't really know a whole lot, but they have to agree to a set of rules, beforehand before it starts, which usually talks a little bit about behavior, make sure nobody's high or drunk or anything like that, anything that makes them not really able to kind of speak for themselves legally. Um, there's other things. I have like a 2 or 3 page list of rules for people, that I kind of send them ahead of time and make sure that they understand that beforehand. But also, I've been offering mediations through Zoom recently, and that's obviously it's a little bit different than everybody being in the same building and walking from room to room, or being in the same room. Either way, with Zoom, there's certain things that don't apply as much because they're not in the same room. Um, like, I know I have something in my, well, I don't know. I have one of my rules is, no weapons, because you don't want one party intimidating another like that. And when you're like with Zoom, I guess theoretically they could have a weapon sitting next to them. If I don't see them, see it, then it's not doing much, I guess. But
Yeah, it only
uh,
hurts their connections. Are them
right.
personally? I mean, like you should be. Everybody should be safe. If
Yeah,
they're over
exactly. Like
Zoom.
that's always like one of my bigger things, and one of the reasons I like doing it over Zoom. I'm still looking at other platforms also, honestly, but Zoom's been pretty nice for that. Being able to kind of keep the parties where I need them in terms of they're not talking to each other. I mean, again, the problem with Zoom or doing it like through video conferencing is that there's certain variables you can't really control. Like if they decide, well, I'm gonna text them or text the other people. Now, if the other person like complains about it, then I know what's going on and I can deal with it. But if they don't, then if I don't know about it, there's not a whole lot I can do in that case. But if they're kind of on opposing sides trying to come to a solution, like if they're probably like, generally, I think something comes up like that, they're gonna tell me about it, you know.
Hmm.
Hopefully.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, it's definitely it's nice kind of being able to work through people's problems and try and see, like, is there a solution here that maybe they didn't think of, or that maybe they're maybe meshing more than they think they are. But yeah.
Hmm.
So,
That's really challenging and important work.
thank you. um yeah.
Well, so let me tell you about my project. NASA's planning
Okay.
to put people on the moon in 2024,
Uh-huh.
and I generally work at home, so I don't actually go out and see people. So I had like this
Hmm.
idea of kind of combining like my interest in space with like a framework to avoid social distancing. And so in
Uh-huh.
December, I started this project where I would go meet with people in person, like at Starbucks or at the
Mhm.
mall or at the bus station, and then ask them, if they knew that we were going to the moon in 2024. And so I guess it's a good place to start with. Did you know we were going to the moon in 2024?
I did not. That is news to me. That sounds really cool, though. But
And what do you think about it?
I think I mean, so let's see. We have first moon landing, 1969. Unfortunately, that is probably, I'm basically both completely terrified of space and very, very fascinated by it at the same time. You probably think a lot of science fiction movies for that. But no, I think it's really cool. That's something, I mean, we are, I don't know, I'm not an expert, but, um, we've done a lot of stuff on Earth, and I do kind of feel like, we do need to go out, like humanity as a whole needs to go out into space um, eventually and try and keep expanding. Again, possibly have watched way too much Star Trek recently. I mean, that's something that you know I kind of feel like that's a good vision for humanity as a whole.
So, like, if you look out 500 years from now,
Hmm.
and I mean, where do you think humanity has expanded to? Like, I mean, if you came back, what would we have in terms of colonies?
500 years, huh? And it's like that's also it's harder to imagine because I mean we've come so much farther in the last 100 years I think than we have in you could say the last millennia almost. So kind of feel like or humanity kind of keeps progressing exponentially. Um, Obviously, like I said, I've been watching too much Star Trek lately, so that's one vision of about 500 years in the future, and I think it's a reasonable one. Like I feel like we would be out in space, out exploring. If there is life on other planets, I feel like we should have met them by then, but who knows? Maybe not.
So you
um,
think mining the moon with like some type of city or outpost on the moon within the next 500 years?
I think I definitely see us doing it in the next 500 years. Whether or not that's a good thing, I don't know, but that's because I don't really know what's on the moon already. um, and that's, other than moon rocks and other rock, I could Google what the atmosphere is, but I haven't. I mean, it's just one of those things. I think it's a little bit of a struggle of like, we need to progress, we need to expand, but there's also kind of trying to preserve what's there. And being able to like kind of be if we're able to work kind of I guess in harmony with whatever is there already, that would be great, I think. But yeah, I definitely would see us doing something like that, having an outpost or at least an outpost or a city on the moon. I think that's something that humanity could definitely do in 500 years. And who knows, maybe even the next 50.
Now,
But
that's interesting about preserving things that are already there. Here on Earth, we think nothing of completely like clear cutting an area, putting roads in, building houses, and
yeah,
we just sort of, whatever, you know.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
but then whenever it comes to the moon, some people are like, "Oh, you got to preserve it." So I just wondering, does it make
I feel the same way about Earth. I kind of feel like we might have gone too far on Earth already sometimes, but we're gonna keep doing it. I mean, I still remember where I grew up. When I go visit, there's a lot of what's the word? Oh, geez, I just completely blanked out on the word. There is a lot. There are a lot of storefronts. There are a lot of roads and more houses and more neighborhoods and more building and everything there where there used to be a lot of greenery.
hmm
And on the one hand, I get, people need places to live and they're really nice houses and everything. But I also kind of miss the greenery sometimes. So,
Now, you've heard of Elon Musk, right?
Oh yes.
And his plans to create a city on Mars.
I think so. Yeah. I've heard a lot about Elon Musk. I don't remember if I heard that particular one.
And
Yeah.
have you heard that, like in Boca Chica, he's building this huge rocket that's completely reusable? And he's not just building one rocket; he's actually building a factory that could build them. And
Hmm.
it'd be the most powerful rocket ever built, but the cheapest per launch because it's 100% reusable. And you just need to pay for the
That makes
fuel
sense.
and
Yeah.
so and he's like actually doing tests of the rocket like
Hmm.
now and this year. It's like it's not like just a PowerPoint presentation. It's like
Uh-huh.
real hardware with 24 hours, 7-day a week shifts, like figuring it out. It's like really amazing. So, but
Hmm.
Jeff, excuse me, Jeff Bezos. Did you know that he also has a rocket company?
I did not know that one. That actually does not surprise me too much. But yeah, I didn't know about that one. I think I had heard about Elon Musk. I didn't know that his was reusable. But yeah.
And Jeff Bezos also is a big proponent of reusability, but instead of
Hmm.
building a city on Mars, he wants to take all the Earth harming activities and move them into
Hmm.
space, like the power generation, the mining,
Hmm.
the heavy industrial manufacturing, and like make Earth like zoned as a park and residential and kind of protect the Earth.
Hmm.
And I was just wondering, I mean, those are like two completely different
Yeah.
motivations. And what do you think about those two?
I have no idea.
Like,
Like,
what?
I mean, it kind of comes back to the same thing, I think, right? About preserving. I mean, I think part of the problem is there's all the stuff with climate change now. um, there's all the stuff with climate change now, and there's so much that we've done to the earth. And it's like I definitely appreciate the what's the word, efforts to preserve it, and I see that in that. But then I don't know that the solution is doing the same thing in outer space. So I mean, if he's doing it and he's taking again into um, consideration like what's there in outer space, how would this affect? Like, are there ecosystems out there? Like just because we haven't recognized them as ecosystems yet, maybe, or I don't know. Actually, we probably have, and I just haven't read about that yet. But I mean, if there's stuff out in space, I mean, is that an issue? That's something that seems like it should be an issue. Like if his plan is to eject trash or eject mining, or okay, maybe it wasn't eject trash into outer space. I think that was somebody else. That kind of sounds horrible to me because space is beautiful right now. Um, but
So you
there's,
have these people who
uh
want
huh.
to go out to space and, kind of develop it, explore it, cultivate it, inhabit it. And you have these people that are wanting to preserve it, appreciate it, go carefully. And
Hmm.
you're a mediator. How do
Hmm.
you go about
Oh
reconciling
no.
these two parties?
I
What
would have to give that a lot of thought, and more than I can do, I think, during this interview.
I would love to
I
hear
think
if you
that's
come up with something.
no, but I mean, that is something because I think they both have valid points of view. I mean, the human race, I think by necessity, we progress. It's part of our nature. We have to. We can't just stand still. But at the same time, I don't think we can keep going forward without like considering what's around us. Like we have, I mean, we have in the past, and it's brought a lot of progress. And we're also probably facing a lot of issues with the earth now because of that. And I wouldn't want to see, the human race do that everywhere else also. I mean, I don't think the solution is, well, we've run out of things here, let's go somewhere else and mess it up. If that makes
Right,
sense. Yeah.
right.
But
Hmm.
that doesn't mean we're not going to go either. Like, I don't think that means that we're like stagnating here either. But I think we have to kind of keep in mind what's around us. I mean, okay, you said the two camps are the people who want to preserve the earth. What was the other one again? Just the people who want to.
Oh, the two camps. Those who want to maybe preserve space, or even if you just look at the moon, let's just say the
Okay.
moon. Let's say you
Hmm.
have one camp that's like, we shouldn't touch the moon. It's like pristine, it's natural, we don't understand it, it's special to us. And then you have another camp that's like, we should go full out industrial colonization, manufacturing, exploitation, exploration.
Yeah. So yeah, I think okay. So this is talking maybe less as a mediator and more as a sci-fi fantasy writer.
Okay.
Put it that way, because I don't have facts here. I can only use my imagination on that, on something like that. But you know, maybe something like you said, a city on the moon or something, but something that is closed off that isn't going to affect what's outside it. I mean, unfortunately, I see it. That could be a slippery slope. Also, you have one city on the moon. It doesn't take too long for people to overflow that and want to expand the city, expand like all over the surface. Um, and that's something as humans, we don't necessarily live in harmony with most other parts of nature. I mean, like I said, I miss the greenery that was outside like my neighborhood where I grew up. Um, like I miss a lot of things the way they used to be, but that doesn't mean that I necessarily want us to be like in the same spot that we were 20 years ago. So, um,
And
like
you
a
know,
lot has happened then.
it's funny about the greenery, right? There's this organization that does like these really aggressive protests and movements and
Hmm.
activities called Greenpeace, right? And
Yeah,
I was thinking, imagine having like greenhouses on the moon that eventually turn the gray surface into like a green moon. And
hmm,
then maybe you have like the counter organization comes out called Gray Peace. Like they're just like,
that would be funny. I could see a story coming out of that.
I can too. I can't wait to read yours.
Oh man, I have to do actual research for that.
Or you're more liberated if you don't.
Maybe
Less constrained.
I know that's true. I am more liberated than I did, but yeah, if I do, but it's the moon. I mean, that's one of those things. Unless I can, okay, no, I'd have to do it as like a science fantasy story. I think. I don't know. I kind of feel like when it comes to science fiction, I tend to stay away from it a little bit more as far as writing it because I feel like I do need to do the research. Like I want it to be enough for it to be kind of realistic.
Sure.
I love reading it, but I kind of feel like I don't have the, and I probably could get the knowledge in the background. I just need to do more research for it. But yeah, that would, I mean, that's kind of the only thing I could think of would be like I've read stories where people have a city on the moon, and it's one of those things that's kind of closed off in a bubble. You know, usually because I think the atmosphere. So the idea is that inside the bubble, the atmosphere is fine, it's breathable. We're going to do great in there, but if we step outside it without, you know, a spacesuit or something, we'll explode or suffocate or freeze or, you know, one of those.
It'd be bad for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Don't do it. Hey, I
Well,
wanted to
that's just
be
happens.
cognizant of the time. It's like almost 6. So I just wanted to
Oh,
ask you one last question.
okay.
Um, if it was safe and affordable, would you have any interest in going in space?
Yeah. I hesitate on that because, like I said, space kind of terrifies me. As the same, like I said, at the same time, it fascinates me. But if it's safe and affordable, I mean, those are the two reasons why I wouldn't right now. I can't afford it, and I don't know that it would be safe for me. But if it was, yeah, it would be like I think it would be really cool to just go and visit the stars.
That would be awesome. Well, I
Hmm.
know you have to go. I don't want to keep you, but thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.